Welcome to SNT's 10 and 10, where you get the top 10 space news stories in less than 10 minutes. This week's show features
Venue holds signs of life. Launch from Japan. Delay in the flying Phallus. Are we on Tatooine or what? I'll listen more next on SNT.
60 seconds.
This week, coming in at number 10, Blue Origin was supposed to launch the flying Phallus for a cool lunar gravity experiment, but the weather and some kind of navigational screw up on their computers caused them to scrub the launch. We're still waiting on them to schedule a reflight of the flying Phallus. This week, coming in at number 9, Rocket Lab completes their wet dress rehearsal ahead of its scheduled February 4th launch of Electron from New Zealand. This mission will carry Kineis slot satellites in the fourth of 5 missions to deploy a total of 25 satellites for Kineis slot connectivity constellation. This constellation aids in commercial shipping companies with navigation and tracking of their shipping fleets. Coming in at number 8 this week, on February 27th this year, SpaceX is set to launch NASA's JPL SPHEREx satellite. This SPHEREx satellite's an infrared telescope, and it's going to map the night sky with infrared vision. Should have more cool results for space for us. Coming in at number 7 this week, Japan launched an H3 rocket. It launched the Michibiki 6 spacecraft from the Tanegashima Space Center on Sunday, 3:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. That'd be 5:30 p.m. local Japan time. The Michibiki 6 satellite was successfully deployed into geostationary orbit about 29 minutes after launch. Their tracking cameras were really difficult to watch. This week, coming in at number 6 and released by NASA on January 30th, Aerospace Safety Advisory Panel member Paul Hill stated, NASA reported that significant progress is being made regarding Starliner CFT's post-flight activities. He said, integrated NASA Boeing teams have begun closing out flight observations and in-flight anomalies. While Hill didn't clarify which portions of the investigation had closed, he went on to say the program anticipates the propulsive system anomalies will remain open pending ongoing test campaigns. He added that there are teams studying the root cause of the thruster problems, developing recommendations for changes to future missions, and assessing technical and organizational factors that may have played a role to the problem. Link to spacenews.com article is in the expanded description on this video. I mean, does anybody even think Starliner needs to fly again? Comment below. This week, coming in at 5, you know that cool mission where we flew into an asteroid and collected its samples? Well, on January 31st, 2025, an article by NASA, it's reported that scientists examining the returned samples from asteroid Bennu that were captured during the OSIRIS-REx mission and returned to Earth for examination, there were compounds thought necessary for the formulation of life. Salts left behind from evaporated water, ammonia, and formaldehyde were discovered, in addition to various other minerals. Ammonia and formaldehyde are important to the formation of proteins that are foundational chemicals for life. This is an exciting discovery, and the samples are still being fully analyzed. Link to the article is in the expanded description box below the video. Coming in at number 4 this week, the Ghost. Firefly Aerospace's Blue Ghost lunar lander continues to expand its elliptical orbits of the Earth as it approaches each apogee. We get outstanding photos of the distant Earth from the Ghost ever-expanding apogee events. Here in this photo mosaic time-lapse, you can actually see the Earth eclipse the Moon as the Blue Ghost speeds towards its latest apogee. Firefly Aerospace intends on firing its engines in 2 weeks for trans-lunar injection to escape Earth's gravity well and to send the Ghost towards lunar orbit. It will then land from its stable lunar orbit. There are several important scientific experiments on board the Ghost, primarily the Lunar Regolith Adherence Study, which looks to see how different potential EVA suit materials react to lunar regolith. We talked about this in episode 4, link is above. Coming in at number 3 this week, since our last SNT 10 and 10 episode, SpaceX has launched 2 Falcon 9 missions.
Liftoff of the Falcon 9. Go SpaceX, go Starlink.
The first launching SpainSat NG-1 from KSC-39A. The booster was expended purposely in order to have the satellite sent to a geostationary transfer orbit. Then a second launch, which you're seeing here from Vandenberg Space Force Base, California, on February 1st, 2025, carrying Starlink satellites. The booster successfully landed on the autonomous drone ship, Of Course I Still Love You. And you can see the Falcon 9 booster ascending through the fog bank that's commonly seen there over Vandenberg Space Force Base. It's just amazing watching this thing get up through the clouds. You know, it was funny because that camera was
and
covered with
telemetry
all the
nominal.
condensation from the cloud banks, but then as it, you know, speeds through the clouds and gets into clean air, you know, it blew the lens free from the moisture.
Vehicle is supersonic.
As the rocket goes through max Q and continues to extend on up into the atmosphere, you see the plume of the rocket engines widen, and I edited here. And here the plume is really wide as we approach the MECO, main engine cutoff,
Main engine cutoff.
and the separation of first and second
Stage
stage.
separation confirmed.
Bingo, as we light that Merlin vacuum
And
engine
ignition.
to send the second stage and the Starlink satellites on their way. And there you see the grid fins expanding out, which is pretty cool.
Fairing
And here's the
separation
booster coming
confirmed.
back just before landing burn. You see the grid fins kick in there
Stage 1
because they got to do some quick steering right as the thrust kicks on. And it's heading toward a course I still love you.
Stage 2 terminal guidance.
Can you do it? Let's get to the center. Go, go, go.
Landing leg deploy.
Pretty close. Bam! SpaceX does it again as they continue doing it every week. And coming in at number 2 this week, SpaceX installs the chopsticks on Tower 2. This video is thanks to Lab Padre. Lab Padre got the excellent video of the crane moving the chopsticks into position. So here they go, lining up and clanking onto Tower 2. And they get them attached on the runners. Voila. Tower 2 has catch arms just like that. It's just that easy, right, SpaceX? Here's an awesome photo by Starbase Surfer of the 2 towers and the 2 catching arms. It's awesome to have both those installed. Also this week, Ship 34 was cryo tested, and we still need Booster 15 to be cryo tested, but both Ship and Booster need to be test fired prior to stacking and wet dress rehearsal. SpaceX has tentatively scheduled a target date of 2/24 for IFT-8. However, there's still no license from the FAA after the mishap investigation. Check out this cool sunset photo of the new towers by Starbase Surfer. And this week, coming in at number 1 on January 30, 2025, stranded astronauts Suni Williams and Butch Wilmore completed NASA's 92nd spacewalk. This spacewalk's made Suni Williams NASA's most senior spacewalking female astronaut. With this spacewalk, Suni Williams has now amassed over 60 hours and 21 minutes of spacewalking, which makes her record-holding female spacewalker for NASA. This January 30th, 2025 spacewalk by Suni and Butch lasted over 6 hours and permitted Suni to surpass female NASA astronaut Peggy Whitson's total spacewalking record. Suni and Butch are doing pretty good considering they were only supposed to be aboard the ISS for a few weeks. We look forward to their safe return to Earth. And while Suni was on this, Suni got to take a ride on the Canada arm. And right here, you know, Suni was the first one out of the hatch. And then she was kind of making some preparations on tethers for Butch. And here you see Suni on the actual Canada arm where she was, you know, being moved on the Canada arm. There you can see the Canada arm, you know, outstretching to take Suni over there to where Butch was at. And they were working on a radio array, a communications array on the International Space Station. But it was pretty cool, you know, watching Suni have to ride this Canada arm. You know, you can imagine her view would have been tremendous right here. It would have been pretty scary to be attached to this thing and someone else controlling, you know, where you were going. But Suni definitely got a pretty cool ride on the Canada arm there. And here you see the Canada arm and Suni's attached to the end of it. And you can see Butch's feet there hanging out as they're working on this. And you can see the Earth below them. Just pretty cool shots. Congratulations, Suni Williams, on becoming the most prolific female spacewalker in NASA history. You really deserve it. That's really cool. You know, so all that talk about Suni's health and Butch's health, apparently, you know, it was all for naught. Here you can see they're just fine. They're good enough and they're healthy enough to do spacewalks. So I think a lot of that talk was highly exaggerated.
Long wire tie on the clamshell is fully installed.
Thanks, everybody, for tuning in and watching this week's episode of SNT. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
60 seconds.
That's one small step for man,